have Holly Patterson, who's part of our team here at Change Lab. She's not just any design enthusiast, she's also our unofficial, official resident Canva expert here at Change Lab. Anyone who comes in asking for marketing support or questions about their marketing, their branding, I funnel them all to Holly. I'm sure she appreciates that. With a strong passion for creativity and a deep understanding of branding, Holly helps entrepreneurs bring their vision to life through simple but powerful design techniques, especially affordable ones. So in today's 90-minute workshop, Holly will be taking you step by step through creating business cards that truly reflect your brand. So whether you're new to Canva or you're just looking to enhance your current marketing materials, Holly's hands-on guidance today will make it easier to design a card that leaves a memorable impression, because you want to make sure that you leave that impression with your potential customers, clients, collaborators, partners. So I'm going to turn the time over to Holly. Holly, thank you for being here. Let me stop sharing and take it away.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm very happy to be with you guys all on this afternoon. It seems to be a friendly crowd because I know almost everybody on this call. So that will be fun to go through. Yes, I am always so excited to help people kind of navigate through essentially Canva and other type of tools that are a lot more accessible. I have worked across essentially Adobe Illustrator, to like Pixelator when it was in hype of the 2010s, to also to working through other types of knockoffs of Adobe Illustrator. I think if anything, I come from a perspective of like not being able to kind of afford the subscription rates of like $79 every single month when I first started out in marketing and especially design work. So as Raquel kind of put it nicely, of affordable kind of options, I've always described them as scrappy. I'm more of a scrappy background marketer and also to designer myself, of trying to implement a lot of different tools across different type of free trials to figure out what I wanted to get out of it. But today specifically, we're going to be talking a lot about how to make our own business cards, especially too with like the springtime and as well as like holiday season rolling around the corner. Having a business card is going to be really kind of beneficial for not just like first impressions, but also to with follow-ups that you probably all need. And they can be a little kind of hard to design. It's something a little bit so simple, but something as effective that can fit into a little wallet. But I also too wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite tools that I like to explore and get inspired by, and as well as to just kind of do a simple tutorial of how to kind of really feel more comfortable with experimenting with the tools that are found in Canva, and maybe even to across other types of platforms as well, and how a lot of these tools can feel a little bit overwhelming, but making it a lot more approachable. So if anything, I would love to know, raise of hands or even to putting like a thumbs up emoji in the chat. How many of you guys are familiar with Canva right now? Like, what would you say? Yes, you know about it. If anything, to put in like into the chat if you guys would consider yourself pretty good with technology tools. If so, I can definitely, let's see, I'll put you guys thumbs up this statement, like I feel confident about using technology. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Thumbs up with that, thumbs up down if you don't. I am not so great at technology. That's another one. And then I feel overwhelmed by all the options out there. I think that's a common one that I hear too. Great. Thanks guys for, I know a lot of the templates that I think Canva starts you out with, or even any type of platform that's out there, not just Adobe. Adobe doesn't really start you out with a lot of templates, but I think if anything, the other types of designer tools that are out there, I have to be refreshed. In one of my videos early on with Change Labs, I think I went through an extensive list of all the scrappy tools that I've used before, which are very simplistic, where like it did not let you choose color. You could do a range of colors and it would change everything. But I feel like a lot of design tools go very like 0 to 60 very quickly. And although they look really pretty of templates and designs to start from, and they can give you a really good idea, it gets more intimidating whenever you start to try to create the actual template and like design from a template to get to a really kind of good spot. So I want to see, I think majority of the people on this call very much know a lot about Canva, but I'm going to come in from a perspective that you have no idea what Canva is. So I already pulled up, essentially, this is like what Canva looks like of the interface. This is the kind of updated version. Those of you who haven't kind of seen Canva in a while, probably looks like very much updated. But essentially, too, if you don't have a login or created an account or your first time visiting Canva, you're going to find a lot of your information to get started building an account that is free to start through Canva, just through this area over here. And then you can, so if I were to sign out, and I were to go back in, it already recognizes me. I can continue back into this. So it's re-verifying me, it's making me jump back in, it's gonna reload the page. And this is what it will show and show you some recent designs that you've been working on. So the little kind of paper physical card that I have in my hands that I'm able to pass out to individuals, I'm gonna show you how I kind of work through building that through this. So we're gonna take it step by step of how you're able to do essentially recreate the business cards you currently have to even to maybe redesigning and making some edits that you want to update your current business cards. So just want to make sure I'm checking the chat every once in a while. Yeah, no worries. A-okay if you know nothing about Canva. So this is supposed to be really kind of approachable tool. The place that I like to start whenever I approach Canva is sometimes I'm not really too clear of like what buttons I could push or it's going to redirect me somewhere else. So I love the little search bar up here. And the little search bar that I start with is essentially starting with what I want to work within. And here I'm just going to put essentially the business card. And so as you can see, I've worked on some things about business card and it pulls in a lot of words that I've essentially started. But here are some templates, and there's over 20,000 templates, which if you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, there'll be populating a lot of different kind of business cards that are out there. I think these are a great place to get started, especially those of you who are looking for a rebrand or something a little bit better than just kind of like a black and white kind of photo or like something that you just kind of put together on Word doc or anything like that. I think these are fun things to kind of explore. However, coming from essentially intention, design, and a place that I love to teach from, which is the business model canvas, a lot of those things have to take into consideration first when choosing out your business card. The relevancy of the type of industry that you're currently kind of residing within. Also, too, what do you want people to have the impression of when receiving it? And also, too, does it just like make stylistic sense with the other types of marketing that's happening around your business as well, too? Because I think if anything, I've seen a lot of businesses that are out there that have chosen business cards that they're like, oh, this is beautiful. I love this. I'm going to choose this. And they have a color combination on their business card that has nothing to do with their brand or their style guide that they've had created while working with an actual marketer or designer in their field. And so it's not to say that's not bad, it's not good. It just kind of makes it a little bit confusing because what you want to do with any type of marketing collateral that you produce is that you want to make sure that it's when people are seeing it, when they're making an association to what type of business it is, it all makes sense. So for example, if my business card didn't look like this and you had no idea I didn't have my logo, but instead I had like a new one exactly like even if I just did this, like say I started editing this exact style and I like has my initials, HP, and I just had to put Holly Patterson from Change Labs. This whole entire stylistic choice has very little to do with my actual job at Change Labs. The styles almost clash together. So, you know, even though I may really like calligraphy, I may think that essentially too cursive makes it a lot more feminine. I think that just stylistically, it looks beautiful of a card, and this may not look like that. The whole intention of why I have a business card with Change Labs is so that people can essentially legibly read what I'm offering. And reading, understanding my name, knowing what I do, and how to contact me and my place of work. So those are intentions that you want to go into whenever you're starting to build your business card. And so although this is great, people who, which is becoming rare occurrence of reading cursive. I think if anything, they got rid of cursive in elementary schools. So I think if anything, sometimes calligraphy is harder and harder to read. And especially for people whose English is not their first language. So you want to make it easier for people to see and read what you have of marketing collateral. So although, again, too, for other people's businesses, I see salons use this. I see a lot of essentially kind of businesses or organizations that are adherent to serving women, or essentially like a more stereotypical like crowd of wanting to service and be approachable in that way. They're using kind of calligraphy, and I think that's fine, but it just makes sure that it's legible. So even having the cursive and having like kind of the text underneath it or anything like that, that it just makes it a lot more easier for a person who doesn't really kind of a wide range of individuals to essentially be able to read your card, easily. So I think that's one thing that I wanted to state, especially as we go through this. Of course, as always, there's something that can be a little bit too busyness. I don't think this is too busy. I think this is great. It has a color combination within it, but sometimes I think there was a TV show that I was watching recently that this guy had handed his business card to these investors, and the whole square inch of real estate on the card was filled with some word. He basically put his whole entire business plan on a little 3x inch or 4x2x inch business card. And so, there's a little bit of quote unquote interior design that goes into essentially mapping out the real estate. So the quote unquote gray space or the artboard that you have of working with your business card. And also too, one thing to take into consideration is that you might come up with something extremely beautiful and something extremely awesome that you're proud to hold and that speaks well to your business and everything. But you can be limited sometimes of ultimately printing it and how many printed copies can you do on what type of paper, all these things. I think one of the more iconic scenes that I love to refer back to is with the American Psycho, the business card scene where they're like, oh, this is on eggshell and that this is on like whatever off-white brand and the type form and the fonts and things like that. And then I always love that scene of just like from a design perspective of how seriously they took business cards. But if anything too, there's eco-friendly alternatives of printers that you can go to so that, I've actually seen some business cards that have been on not just recycled paper, but on paper that if you were to discard or not discard, but they encourage you to plant it because embedded into the card is flower seeds. And so when you plant the card, you actually are planting flowers and it's on recycled paper and everything and it's compostable. So I think that's one of the great things about it too. So like your business card cannot just be something that you like are putting out there for information, but it could also entail to speak to your value proposition, like why you're going into business or what your company is about. If it's talking about sustainability, if it's about a certain initiative of why it was created and things like that. And so, and it's also a great way to track as well. So many of these, as you can see, just kind of have, of course, the stereotypical address, phone number and email. And some of them may populate with a little bit of social media and things like that. However, one thing that I see that's a little bit missing that has been a pretty cool tracking, but also to just another point of contact is putting a QR code. So business cards that I've been kind of given, they've had a QR code or some sort of tracking to a survey or something else that's not just follow up by phone, email, and address. Instead, they've actually put like a unique QR code so that people can get redirected to directly book an appointment with people or to have a follow-up call conversation that's linked to a Calendly link. So those of you who are not used to what a Calendly looks like, this is what Calendly is, and I will show you guys as it's loading. Let's see. So this is Calendly. I know I'm already logged in, but essentially you can create events that can, through a certain link, you can have people have the QR code on the back of your business card and have them automatically essentially set up a special follow-up call based off of them just receiving a business card or being referred by your business card. So you can see if this marketing is working in your business. And this can go as far as essentially like flyers as well too. But we're specifically talking about business cards today. I see there's a lot of things going on in the chat. So please let me know if you guys have questions. I don't mind being interrupted and you guys coming off of mute to ask questions. Please let me know if there's anything that you guys want more explanation on, or even to, I'll try to add all of these links that I have throughout this presentation, put into the chat at the very end of it. So yes, so this is kind of a great overview of how many templates there are, how simplistic you can start, oh, here's the QR code, look at that. Exactly right here. So you could put a QR code, but not just to the Calendly. You could also put a QR code to, hold on, working off of one screen's definitely a first world problem, but we're making it work. You could put it from a link tree that you have, or even to your LinkedIn profile, or a website that you have of your business, to a social media site that you have of your business. Yeah, I think if anything, you could take this link and also to be able to have it as not just an appointment setter, but to have people directly who receive your business card be directed somewhere. And that's in that motion, that's called a call to action, a CTA. So I think keywords are great. This is also a great way and tool to track to see how many people are visiting or are using your business card. So if you have to re-up and do another 150 printed purchase, like you would know how beneficial it is to have a business card and not just kind of like tossing these out on tables at conferences. So yeah, but I think this is a great place to start too. If anything, this is the one that I will start with, the customizing this template, because it's pretty simple enough. It starts from the most basics. It starts with a white background. I think that's a little bit easier to work with just right now to kind of make this black and white. If you are looking for color and you're looking for how you want to essentially create color into more of your branding style guide, or even into your business card, I love this AI tool called ColorMine. And I love it for one reason, that I'm not very good at pairing colors sometimes, and I'm not really good at pairing non-pastels together. But I don't really kind of work in a company that uses a ton of pastels, or I don't have a company myself that would gravitate toward pastels. So I love this for a reason that you're able to lock a certain color down and then regenerate, so that it essentially brings up other complementary colors into this. And so that's one of the things that I really love about this, and as well as too, that has an image upload to it, that if you were to have an image upload, say for example, that I didn't properly prepare for just a regular image, but say that we like the Southwest sunsets, and we pulled this image. So I just Googled it here. Say that we pulled this image, that we really love this. We love all the colors into this of the Southwest. So we pull this, and then we go back to ColorMine, share. We upload the image from our desktop that we just took a picture of. I know I'm going really fast, but then it just pulled the most predominant colors from that photo that we just uploaded and put it into here. And maybe we don't really want black, but we love these colors. So then we can also take this color hex code and then go to our website colors again, and then we're able to edit it and then paste. So we have purple, we go back here and lock it, and then we can go and generate new colors that can go into this. So say that we absolutely have a color that we love and that is essentially highly associated with recognition of our business. Maybe it's a red, maybe it's a yellow, whatever it is. We can essentially put that color hex code into here, and then be able to regenerate more color combinations that's complementary to that color as well. So, and as you scroll down further, it gives you a little bit of a preview of what does that look like whenever you put it into some sort of layout. So whether it's, this is more kind of displaying a website and what it would look like on a website facing, but you could do the same thing of what it could look like on a bit of a business card. So in this area, if we use white text, but then had one of the colors here as our background color, it would look really nice, type of thing. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful, and you guys can be a little bit more creative with color and feel like color is an approachable place for you guys to start on designing and incorporate it into your marketing collateral. But yes, so we're back here, back to this space. So how I had started to do mine, which is really easy because I had a whole template to go off of. I have my own little business card here that I just basically just recreated it into this space. How did I recreate it into this space? So let me just add a blank space. So technically we started with white. So as I just did, and this is going to go over very, very basic overview, just because there are some people who could be very overwhelmed by all of the options and buttons that you can possibly push in Canva. But any type of color background changes to text fonts, tape changes is going to be in this nifty area of a toolbar up here. And one thing that I like to do, especially when I know I'm going to get something printed, is I love to pay attention to my spacing and the gray space that I'm going to be kind of working within. So I go up to here. Oh, I think it's under files. I'm a little new to this thing too, of their new update. But essentially, I like to show my rulers and guides. Oh, let me close that. And I like to know exactly where am I working within, and I just pull from the measurements up there. So I know that every single time that things are going to be essentially spaced correctly. So, and not just kind of go off of their kind of X and Y axis that they automatically have in each one of these spaces. So what I've done before, which ChangeLab has, and if you're getting started with your Canva account early on, you can start off by building a brand kind of area or a brand hub. So, and that's found, let me go back to the main home page. I know it feels like I'm probably shifting around a lot, but if we were to start back here and you haven't uploaded your brand stuff of logos and things like that, it's going to be in this fourth option on your left side toolbar, in which you can actually create new brand kits that you have. So we have different brand kits ourselves here at ChangeLabs, and you can actually add people to the team to have access to those brand kits. So those of you who work with multiple individuals in your company, or maybe even to want to be able to learn how to do this and pass it on to somebody else so that they can continue to start building stuff within your marketing collateral, you can essentially have them have access to this and share it with them and be a team as well. So I love this area because I never have to keep thinking about uploading. So, and I believe there's a little window on this side that shows you that you can add, or even to creating a new design right here and uploading whatever you need into this area. So let's go back. Any questions so far? I know we haven't actually gotten into the thick of designing just yet. I wanted to cover all the bases. Yeah, Candace. Oh, I think you're on mute.
It's like the fifth time I did this week. Those lines you put in, are those cut lines or what lines are those?
So there is here, let me kind of try to make this. So there's an invisible square that is a red box in this already. So if I have it turned off, which to disappear these lines, there's already a red barrier in here that you just don't get to see all the time until you shove like an element or a shape into that area. So that's just like another kind of hidden area, because the reason why they have that is that's technically a bleed. So they're anticipating a bleed marking so that you don't have to design all the way up to here. You can if you want to, but if people don't, this is like anticipating printers for bleeds and things like that, because they're trying to make it very accessible. Whereas like on Adobe Illustrator, before you even get into this spot of making a certain dimension size, it asks you questions like, what bleed do you want? How many pixels? All of these things. And Canva makes this very approachable of a tool to use because it already incorporates a hypothetical bleed of, I believe it's probably 1/2 inch or even 5 centimeters or something like that, depending on what you're working on. So there's that bleed area that you see that of marginal areas. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. Is this from a template that already puts on the bleed lines and the cut lines, or
Yeah.
is
So
this?
yeah, so I just added those to show the whole entire time. No matter what, the default looks like this. So the default is this, and the default will always have that bleed hypothetically there. It always has an X and Y axis like this. So you can see these red lines. They'll always show you where the middle is or show you where you're in relative space, where the middle is to another object.
But not the middle of the card,
Mm-mm.
which would be where the cut and the bleed would go
Yes.
after printed, when it's being printed.
Yeah. Well, so one way that it does this, so the reason why I do this is because if you're just working with a white background, this could be helpful in you spacing things out correctly. So for example, do you see how on this side, my greens are all lined up pretty much on point? Because you don't want to have a printed where like something's off and something is off there. Do you see what I mean? So like sometimes I've come across businesses where they don't really know how to line these up. So then it's like accidentally crooked, but it's only because you don't see it until it's actually printed or until all of the stuff is there. So I like to work with some of my guides already there so that I'm able to have lined up already rulers and guides. So do you see how up here, I know this is intentional for me, but like ours is intentionally kind of moving up a little bit further up past that hypothetical bleed, but that's going to be okay because this whole entire thing is going to be printed. But say that I was working with something that had a lot of where this shape isn't true. I could either try to get as true as possible to the end of this to make it look like this so that it does help me a little bit with placing this in the right area. Or if I don't know how to do that, or I don't have an image that could possibly help me to do that, then let me go. Then I could have these rulers to help me know that like this is going to be properly placed, lining up with that ruler line right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then do you print your stuff straight from Canva or do you send it off to a printer? Do you download this artwork and send it off to a printer?
So you can print with Canva. I haven't done it myself, but I know, and I think it's just because again, I'm scrappy. So I have had access to like my community college is printing, and really what I've done to print something like this is that I go here and there's different types of files that you're able to print. So I do PDF printing and I include my crops and bleeds and then I download it as a PDF and I work with my the access to the community college or even to other printers that I have that I tell them like I give them a stack of cardstock because for me, I just use a simple white cardstock to make these prints and I'm fine with them printing and using more green on the backside. So then I just like work with them of the sizing that I want and also to how they're going to be cut and things like that. So if you don't want to do that, which I do that and I do more of that work myself because I'm scrappy with my pricing. But I think if anything, when you're printing with stuff and when you're using other people of services to do that, you're paying for the convenience to not do all those things either. So if you want to print with Canva, then you can actually see the actual kind of what it will look like as a preview first and it'll tell you like the size and everything too. So I think if you don't want to go and learn through all the things that I've had to learn through because I worked with like a very minimal budget, yeah, I think printing with Canva is fine. Or you could also to print like at Staples and Office Max or even a FedEx and provide them to cardstock that you specifically want them to be printed on as well too. And I'm pretty sure like I've done that printing too at FedEx with postcards and things like that. So.
Oh, that's okay. Maybe on another conversation, I wanted to know more about printing from Canva because Canva doesn't let you go outside those bleed and cut marks, and there must be some sort of like it just doesn't let you. Like I'm looking at the colors down, the Change Labs colors, the bar of colors down below. It wouldn't let you. It'll say this is out of our print, so you have to rearrange it. So
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
that
Then it
does
would
that.
make you go like this.
Yeah, I haven't printed anything since the new Canva came up, but I've tried to print like some postcards and Canva wouldn't let me because they were Christmas cards, so I needed to get them printed right away. So,
Yeah.
but Canva wouldn't
No.
let me wouldn't let me. So I downloaded the artwork and I sent it to Staples, and Staples was like, you need bleed and cut lines, which it had on there because it asked you, and Staples wouldn't take it. So, and I was in a hurry, so I just ended up printing. I think I ended up giving it somebody more expensive just to print them because I needed them. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm on here too, is to figure out Canva's little glitches like that. And yeah, so I'll just let you go on now. So
Yeah, no
I was
worries.
asking.
So for those of you who are kind of lost in that conversation that I was having with Candace and I, this is essentially the bleed and cut that we're talking about. So as you can see, I made a little mistake. I was making these really fast. That this I didn't move it to being only on the artboard. So technically, whenever you take this to a printer, the printer will essentially know where the edging is at within their software and be able to make their prints the way that it is. And then this is kind of like in case that this is for cutting and as well as to just them in case that they have to be aware of where the colors of everything has to stop or start type of thing. So there seems to be stuff in the chat. Okay, got Candace. And then, yeah, Raquel, definitely, Canva seems to be a little bit more pricier than other printers. And that's kind of just based of me being in the Southwest and me going to other people that I know and have a relationship with, or even to of small businesses that I've come across that can do this as well too. So yeah, crops and bleeds. Yes. So crops and bleeds, this is what crops and bleeds are, is everything that's white. So not in the blue box, but is the white side. And most of the time, you don't really need to figure that out. Staples will figure that out. FedEx will figure that out. And as you can see, maybe I'll do a test run of a couple of these business cards through Canva and try to problem solve that, because it has been updated. It's been updated 3 times since I've started using Canva, and each time they're coming out with more AI tools to be incorporated into this, and as well as to different types of access of templates and things like that, as like technology has been, just changing out there. So, but yes, this is, as you can see, this is where I should have just lined it up right there. So, all right. So this is, I love to have my rulers on. I love to know where exactly I'm spatially working within, especially with something that I'm printing. I don't do this too much with social media. I may follow these lines, especially gray space on social media when I'm building. But whenever I'm building something that I'm printing, I make sure that I'm really understanding the gray space that I have. The gray space is the stuff that is not covered by logos, text, or a different type of coloring of an object, essentially like the background, and how does that all kind of harmoniously look together, because our eyes can slightly tell when something is off, and it's more noticeable the longer that you stare at it. So that's what I love to have something like this of guides. And how I turned that on, just as a recap, is I went up to, I keep doing this. I went to File, and you go to Settings, and it show Rulers and Guides, or a nifty little shortcut, it's Shift R. So that's why I like that. And also too, like it shows print bleed as well. So this is the print bleed. So maybe Candace, we could do a coaching call on one of my days to kind of see what you were trying to get printed, because we could turn on that print bleed to see if that will help a little bit better. But yes, so this is the front side of our business card, and then the back side is where you have more real estate to kind of work with. Think of it as a front side real estate of stuff that you want to do, and then the back side. So the front typically will have your name, your title of what you do, your business association, and ways to contact you. The back side typically is to reiterate what your business is so that people can understand that, and also to another place of access that's not direct toward you, but essentially to your business. And this too, if we wanted to update my little card, I could add in ChangeLabs' website, which seems to be a lot more popular of people scanning stuff because more people have smartphones now. So we can go into this, and instead of maybe making the website there, we could shift everything up, which I'm just dragging and clicking, and how I'm able to select all these things together. So then I go here and I could essentially position this correctly. There's so many lines now on my screen. It's now annoying me. So I might delete some of these. And then line these up the way that I need to. This line is not perfect. And so that means all of these are off by one. Yep, they're perfect. So then people can essentially now scan this and be able to be redirected to my website that's listed on the very top up there, in case that's ever broken. Vanessa, she has her hand up. Oh, you're on mute too, or your microphone's not connected.
Can you hear me now?
No, I can. Yep.
For the bleed lines, is that just for the text? Because I see that the color is out of the bleed line.
Yeah, so that is just for me to spatially see where I'm lined up, because there has been times, as just like the more and more I design that, so the reason why I have that middle line there is because sometimes, say that my wings are over here, if I'm trying to find that middle line, sometimes it doesn't show up. Instead, it shows me the middle line to the other objects. So if these objects are all off, say that they're like this, it's sometimes really hard for me to find where that true middle is, which is this. Sometimes it'll essentially just show me the true middle to the other objects. So it can still look a little bit off. So that's why I have a blue line over the pink true middle. That's the only reason why I have that there. It's not a default setting or kind of mapping on any of the templates in Canva. Your mic still is off.
The border bleed line.
There you go. Oh, this border blue line, that's still my rulers.
Bleed line. I don't understand what that is. Is that just so that we don't put the text outside of that line, or?
So the print bleed, which I just got rid of, is this is more of here. I'm going to make a lot of noise, so I apologize for the noise that I make on this. It's typically for this thing. Oh, I'm so sorry, Raquel. And Sophia. You guys did so it's typically due to this banner thing. So the bleed is the thing that's of wrapping that's not seen on this. And as we go up, do you see how it there's like a whole ending down there? So technically the bleed is for that reasoning, that when printers print, they can see where the bleed is going to fall down into. On business cards, you typically aren't going to see that unless, let me go to one of the templates that this would make sense on. I'm working with solid colors, so I think that's why this is not making sense. So let me go back to it. Templates. Okay. So say that we had this card and we were working on this card. The bleed would matter because, saying Canva, show print bleed right there. The bleed would matter where these unique images are at, so that it doesn't abruptly stop at a certain area, or they have some areas to work with if they have to manipulate the image in a way and it's not fitting correctly on their stencils of printing. So that's what the bleed is for. And that's why it's like some printers, especially for banners, every single time I've done like a 33-inch, 15-inch, or even to like a tabletop like vendor banner on a fabric, they've always asked for a bleed because they wanted to make sure that like it's so they can differentiate from the artwork or from stuff and be able to manipulate it or edit if they have to move the image around to make sure that it comes out clearly. It kind of like a border. I wouldn't consider it too much like a border because it just kind of extends out outwardly. I'm so sorry. I maybe I need another cup of coffee to to explain this a little bit better of a bleed. In my work of what I've done, it's more useful in the sense of printing on retractable banners and large area scaled things. On business cards, typically it's not a problem, but if this is a reoccurring problem, I will do a whole entire further explanation and even to follow up on Canva of like, I got some business cards printed from Canva. Like, let's go through them together. So yes, but technically this doesn't really have to, this shouldn't be something that you guys completely worry about when you're reprinting. Most printers that I've ever worked with outside of Canva, they haven't had a problem with bleeds, and they haven't actually requested for bleeds. They take the image as it is, especially as we were to download. They would only say that they would want a higher quality so that none of the text that you have or any type of imaging, if you have a photo on it, would essentially appear pixelated. So I think that's another thing to note, is making sure that like the stuff that you're using is going to be a higher quality of pixels of size, meaning that the size of the file could be a little bit harder to essentially transfer via email, or you can also use something else of a PNG, PDF, and also too, sometimes printers may ask for the SVG file for them to manipulate, and also to figure out what type of your font you're using, because they may have to just like change it slightly because it's incompatible. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Daniel. It's really kind of the area that they're cutting out of. It's really for cutting purposes of stuff. So, that's as we see it more on banners and things like that. So whenever the banner is retracting or anything, they want to be able to make sure that when they cut for the retractable banner or a tabletop banner, they're not cutting into your artwork of what you are sending them off to be printed for. So yes, hopefully that makes sense. It's okay if you guys have more questions and I may be lost on this. But yes, now I'm trying to find all of the templates and things like that I'm working on. But yes, so it doesn't have to just be a QR code here. I've also have had 2 QR codes on a business card before. One that is specifically wanting people to go to here, another one that's going to like donations or even to another type of connection of things. I think if anything, this is where you have to get a little into stylistic choice of how much you want people to be pointed to in a certain direction. One thing I highly don't recommend is you having essentially 2 QR codes like this back right next to each other, because they'll have to cover up completely one of the QR codes for your smartphones to detect it. If you are going to have 2 on each side, I would try to make them as separate as possible, even if possible, having the other one be on the front side of your business card. So yeah, I think if anything, a lot of this is just about balance and you really understanding the gray space and working with the rulers and kind of guides that are out there that are already kind of incorporated into Canva for you guys to start designing. But say you want to get into something more complicated like these, it's going to be found in your elements up here. I highly try to search for everything that I am trying to use. I have Canva Pro, and there's a lot of benefits to using Canva Pro. However, you can get by, especially in this like small design that we have right here. I could possibly do this without having Pro, because all of these things are on the bottom. They're just squares that I help kind of shape into being a certain size, and then just command copying, or even to double click, copy, click in an empty space, paste, and moving it over to where I need. So that's these are, you can get by really with just understanding the keyboard shortcuts, or even to going up to file and really understanding a bit more of the, they got rid of all of it. Typically they would have the copy paste on this. I think now they're making it where you double click and you have more of the tools appear here. So yeah, if anything, I think I want to make sure I'm answering everybody's question so far. Is there something that people want to see that that may be a little bit more advanced than the basics that I'm covering right now too? I know this is kind of easy of an explanation just because I have something that I just completely copied. I think whenever you get into this work, it's fun to start looking at type hierarchy that we have. So Change Labs has a type hierarchy in which we have an established brand of knowing each time what our header is going to be, our subheading, as well as our text body is going to be. And you just want to make sure that's consistent each time. Sophia, yeah.
So what colors should we like stay away from that might not work well with text?
Yeah, I think it depends on the background. So like obviously in this example, I would not do our yellow that we have for any of it, because yellow on white just does not read well. And as well as red might be even hard as well to read, because think about also not just like people reading calligraphy, but also to those individuals who may be colorblind, because this is an actual physical printed product. So you want to make sure that people are able to read this, and the color combinations that are typically illegible for people who are colorblind. You don't want to have those color combinations be the predominantly kind of text and background colors that you have. So take that into consideration, is that there are some people who may be colorblind who would not be able to read the color combinations that you have created on your card. And it could be things from like a red background and an orange text, to even like blue and green as well too. So you want to sometimes make a hard contrast between the background color and the text that you'll have on your business card, just so that just what a business card is really kind of there for. It's for contact follow-up. It's so that people can reach you. You want to make it as legible as possible, but not so that it's like this. You don't want it to be like, this is my number type of thing, kind of like a little kid getting their address pinned to their jacket. Like, you want it a little just a well balanced between the gray space and what you're starting to design. So although, and maybe it is too, maybe you are working with elderly individuals that I think about my eyesight, I think about my mother's eyesight, that she needs readers. So maybe if you work and you determine that your customers, like your customer base, loves to like make phone calls, and they're the generation that will make phone calls and first emails, then maybe having the number a bit bigger, residing somewhere, is probably a good call to do. I know most business cards that are out there, and also too the templates that are available in Canva, are very corporate. They're very like, a professional service, or there's something that like people are very tech savvy to understand and really associate with. Sometimes you have to create based off of the customer segments that you've determined for your business. And if you get most of your customer segments calling you, and that that's where your business is be able to build a relationship with your customers, and make that phone number bigger type of thing. This should be kind of so that people know how to contact you. And also too, the best way that you want people to contact yourself. We at Change Labs started marketing collateral for the conferences that we started to go to this year, in which we knew that people did not want to do a business card all the time. And I would have a stack of these business cards in my little lanyard, a clear kind of name tag holder. And I would just put everybody's business card that I was receiving into my little name tag holder. And Raquel and I started to think about it, and we're like, well, what would be something that somebody wouldn't put into their lanyard holder, but we would want people to really kind of take a look at and be a great kind of choice. And I think Raquel's reading my mind. So then we created postcards with beautiful artwork on the front from entrepreneurs that we work with, to actually having the information that we wanted people to know about us on the back, and how to essentially reach us through smartphones. And we had a couple renditions of this. I know not everybody has the budget to do this, but we got a lot of postcards made, and how to do the follow-up. So these ended up being bigger business cards for us to work with. But also too, a lot of people we ended up giving this to ended up framing these, and also putting them on a pegboard or a cork board in their office type of thing. And so we wanted to make sure that people weren't just throwing away the marketing collateral that we were doing, but we were trying to make sure that they left with something that they could keep and reference to, being like, oh, yes, that's the Change Labs postcard. So, hopefully that's a little helpful too, because I know, unfortunately, I've done it myself. I've thrown people's business cards into the recycling. So, things like that. I think if anything, it should speak well to like what your value proposition is of your business, talk well to who your customer segments are, and really kind of build the relationship that you hope to have with those individuals. And so, but as always, there's so many great businesses that are out there that provide great resources and want to kind of make sure that they're using every inch and space of their business cards, such as the Trauma Services of Arizona or Trauma Recovery Services of Arizona, which they have their print of how to follow them big and bold in the back, as well as to some of the other businesses out here in the area, making sure that's high contrast. But if you have business cards and you want to have them up and about here at Change Labs, we'll happily accept them and we will have them displayed, and we'll also put them on our wonderful little map that we have in our main space of all the businesses that are across Navajo Nation and Hopi. Yeah, but like I think if anything, simplicity is always a really good key to go with. I love Brittany Jean's card that she has her logo in the back, and also to just how to contact her really simply. So yeah, I think if anything, I'll take questions and we can even go through some really kind of good examples. So, okay, I'm going to go through a couple of these. How do folks download the design? Yes, I'll go through that. So I showed it, but I didn't directly speak to it. When you're ready, so say that you're ready, this is the thing that we came up with. Then you can go here to the share button. You can actually give other people access to it as well. Or you can also copy the link that anybody with the link would have access to it. So say that you're working with a designer who could possibly just essentially, maybe the file's too big, you're concerned about the file being too big, you can send this via link over to that designer via email, and they would be able to get access to this and download it themselves of whatever type of whatever type of file they actually need the artwork to be within. So because there's many different ones, as I just showed. So this is the download button. I typically just use PNG just because I do a lot of transparent kind of stuff, and I just love using PNG. Some people have a true love to JPEGs. This is JPG files, which is more common to anything. These are like photographs and everything like that. While other individuals and other print services may essentially request to do a PDF because they use Adobe Illustrator, or they very rarely have I worked with a printer that is asking for a CVG unless they have to manipulate the artwork in some way. And of course, these bottom two don't have any relevance to this section of a business card, but there's an MP4 video and as well as a GIF. So if anything, the safe to bet whenever you are ready to share is basically either do a print PDF or to do a JPEG, which is this one, to share with them. And if you don't know, you can always use that link. So I like to do a PDF print, and I do the crop marks and bleed so that they don't assume what I actually want, and they can just see exactly what I'm trying to have printed. And excuse me. And I usually do this. There's a differentiation, which is just slight in some of the colorations of colors, but I do a CMYK color palette, and this is best for professional printing. If these are your test kind of business cards and you don't have a lot of color within it, this is fine as well. But the more and more that you want these colors to stay true and close to your actual color palette that you have of your business, and you have complex colors, like maybe like a very sandy beige or like a very much burnt umber color that you're looking for in your business, then I would go with the CMKY. But if it's simple colors like just regular blue, red, black, white, and things like that, this is fine as well too. So there's different these are two different color kind kind of families that you can choose from and color identifications that you can choose from. So, and then you just download, and it will most likely download to your desktop, or it will download to a downloads folder that you have on your computer. And then either put in a junk drive or a flash drive, or attach it to an email and send it off to your printer to get these printed. Let's see. Yes, Valerie, knowing your audience for sure. I have 2 different types of cards for outside Navajo, and for Navajo. If we create on Canva, are we able to save our work and print elsewhere? Yes, you are. So I've been on the internet this whole entire time, but say that I was editing something, I moved it, and I was like, this is great. And then I accidentally somehow close my window, or I go to the home button because I'm not too familiar with how Canva works. Then I can go back to here, my recent designs, go back to what I was working on before, reload the page, and it'll take me right back to where I was at. So it auto saves for you. And then it also, if you lose internet, or if you go into quote unquote offline mode, it'll have a pop-up that will tell you that you are in offline mode, or even to that it's not saving your progress, and the best thing to do is to reconnect to internet and also refresh the page. Yes, you can also too think about not only this being a business card, but a lot of people have turned their business cards into postcards, but also too they've turned their business card into stickers. So they've taken this and they've been like, I want a QR code, and I want them to be able to have my phone number, but also to put it on a sticker. So Brittany Jean is one of the, I wish I had one of her stickers. So the front side of her card or her sticker has her logo, but then the part that you discard, the papers for the sticky part to stick on, the paper side has all of her information of how to contact her by phone and email. So you could possibly do something like that as well too. And then and then other people too. So again, this is primarily dependent on what type of industry you're working within. Maybe you need to be seen. People need to know what you do and how you who they're working with, and maybe your name is highly associated with your business and what you do. So then it almost becomes like a very good snippet of like who you are, so that they can associate. This is like for people, you see this mostly in real estate. You also see this in people who do media or are in working within the realm of media and the arts and things like that, that they have a photo of themselves on their business card. And that's one side front that they do to incorporate who you're speaking with, who these people are, because sometimes we have doppelgangers. So it can be hard to memorize what everybody looks like. Yes. Here's a really good example too, is I have Goldie Tom, who's on here. She has herself on the front of her business card. And then the backside is not only a QR code, but also to the other ways of getting in contact with her. And, of what she does. So I think these are great business cards that we have as examples in here in the hub. And you guys can take some note of incorporating to your own business card. So let's see. Yes. And also too, one great thing about Canva is that it's not just compatible on a website, but there's an actual app. If you're using a Mac, you can download the application through the App Store and work through that interface through an application, or you can access it through your phone. I travel a ton for this job here at Change Labs. So sometimes when I need to make edits really quickly on social media posts or in a ton of print collateral that we have, I have access to it on my smartphone. That's an iPhone, and I'm able to log in really quickly and look at the notes that other people have that I'm collaborating on with for social media. So like Raquel, Sophia, myself, we create comments, and we're able to essentially be notified of when those comments hit our inbox and go back and make really great collaborative work. Yes, Candace.
Hi, thank you. I had a question, I guess for everybody on this, and including yourself, Holly, because I know you're the gal about town. What trends have you seen in the business card world? I haven't had a business card for like 2 years and I haven't needed one. My thing has been a lot of, let me get your business card and I'll contact you. Because then I end up doing the recycle thing where I just throw it away. So, and then saying that, like, what have you, because I know having a mailing address on your business card is, especially on Navajo, you're like, hey, I have a PO box, but I really don't live in Winslow. I'm not Winslow. So I'm just wondering if having a location on there, like, is a mailing address essential? And where have you seen good traction with like QR codes? In your experience of getting business cards and handing out business cards, where does your QR codes lead to? Like, what has been most successful to like your social media, your Calendly, an email that pops up and says, hi, we met at Res. And then also, I would just say, if you're creating a business card, please make it horizontal, because I have a scannable app on my phone that scans business cards and it transcribes them into your contacts. You don't have to go in there and put them in manually, and it has a hard time scanning the vertical ones, and it won't scan them. So that's another thing. If I were to give some advice I have not been asked yet, yet, I would say just make it horizontal, because the vertical ones don't get read. And then I have another question after that with a point of sale business, I guess, because mine is consulting mainly. It's not.
Yeah. I think so I'm notorious for being asked for a business card and I don't have one on me. And so we recently started to try out this, which is a one-time business card in which you can customize this, but we just did like the regular basic type of thing of buying a single card that has a QR code on it, and also too, it's tap. So with other iOS smartphones, I'm able to tap this onto the phone, and it'll automatically add saying that Holly wants you to open up a Safari tab or something like that, and people will be taken to this, which is my information and how to get in contact with me. And so you are seeing in the back end. So if I were to go into preview, this is how people would see it. They would push on this button to exchange contact or download my contact straight into their phone, and as well as to be able to email me directly through my ChangeLabs email, to call me, to connect with me on LinkedIn, to follow ChangeLabs on Instagram, to connect with me personally via my personal email, or even to connect with me specifically through my social media as well. And there's a lot of different things that you could do. So far, this has been really helpful because I do presentations a ton. So typically when I do presentations outside of ChangeLabs, I put the QR code to this specific site. So I'll have this as a QR code created through Canva onto my slides, showing that they can just be redirected to this. And then from there, they can essentially reach out to me and let me know how they have, came across my profile or want to work with me in whatever ways. And so this is something too that we've incorporated onto our postcards. And I think so far this has been a great kind of tool for myself, because I've also added this to my wallet function on my iPhone. And so I am very much of a person that does not even carry cards anymore, of debit cards or credit cards. I pay everything with my phone. So me even now having like less and less of an actual wallet on me, this is now stored into my wallets app on my iPhone, and I bring this up and have people scan it, or I'm able to easily share it with people by tapping their phone with mine, and then getting this information as well. So those who are on the conference circuit heavily and probably have to go through a ton of business cards very quickly or are giving presentations, I love this first and foremost because I've had more connections through this specifically and follow-ups through this specifically versus I feel like through my business cards. I definitely think our postcards have done really well, but again too, this is because ChangeLabs as a nonprofit, the marketing effort that we put out there on social media, the amount of conferences that we've gone and spoke at, like that's all encapsulated into all of this. So very happy to talk about dot cards. Yeah, there's other renditions of this. It's not just dot cards. There's even too like a fob you could have that's not even like a card form. It's an actual like just magnetic fob that you can just click on or like have people's phones near, and then it automatically like pulls up their information on a contact card in your phone. So, but there's also to this, and I think if you're not ready to go straight into this and you don't want to buy a physical card, again, I'm scrappy. So this is free. And I've also used Linktree, and I've used other forums, which is also called Unfold, which is similar to a Linktree as well. I've done an Unfold as well, which is a bio site, that I've created this and had people connect with me via QR code or link to also follow up with me on email, social media, LinkedIn, a website of sorts. And so, which you're able to put a contact card as well onto here, which you can't always on Linktree, but you can. So depends on like how much customization you want to do, because I have done Linktree, I've done Unfold at the very basic free subscription, and they've worked as well too. I think if anything, because I wanted to personalize it a bit more to what Change Labs was and my work that I'm pursuing. I love the dot card more now than ever, because too it's stored in my phone as an actual QR code, and I don't have to go search for it. And because before with Linktree and Unfold, which are great alternative free options, I would have to like pull up the presentation or have this screenshot in my Photos app, and then I would show people. So, but yeah, this is kind of currently my alternative right now, but I'm super open to working with something new that's out there. I'm all about trying to try out all the tools out there for you guys, and seeing how it works well for me and the line of work that I do. So yeah, and you can add things like, yeah, your Calendly link on it. So if you don't want people to email you, hey, I would like to request an appointment, you can put also a link on here that's like directly takes them to that Calendly as well for a request of appointment. And there's other type of appointment bookings that are out there as well too. I'm sure those of you who have a Square site or a Squarespace website, you guys can essentially have the link go specifically to that Square site appointment scheduler. So then you can have people actually request through your websites that you guys have to do it. So you don't have to, I guess like my intention is you guys don't have to be across all of these platforms. Be across the platforms that are going to work well for you, but also that are easily manageable for yourself. So yeah, go ahead.
I didn't want to be the only person that was asking questions.
No, you're fine. There's some in the chat.
I just had a question also for everybody else on here. So my other business is the mutton and lamb business with the KE Ranch. And I have never been asked for a business card more than that business in my life. Like, and it's funny because I'm not really a business card person either. I'm not one to like flip them out really easily. And so, but yeah, people have been asked, and we had a really generic one made. That's when I had my Staples experience, was that Staples wouldn't print them because we didn't have cut and bleed lines. So we ended up making it on Staple website, and it wasn't that great. I had a really nice one made in Canva. But so people that are, and also I just want to know trends, like one, do QR codes work on the res on Navajo? Let's say you're at a flea market and it's really busy. Do they work? Like, do they immediately, in your experience, I don't know if anyone else here has done a QR code and sold like at a flea market or at the fair, or just on Navajo where bandwidth is like really limited. And also, what are you putting on your cards that's helpful to sell more stuff, more tangible things? I feel like texting doesn't work. I've asked people to text me and they still message me on my social media where I can't see it. So it's really strange how people get a hold of me and for mutton or lamb. And so I just want to know what people's experiences with point of sale and business cards. And I might go the route of doing a digital and then just doing a postcard, because yeah, I'll go to like some grandma's house, or I was delivering meat to a grandma and she put my business card of a lamb, a regularly cut lamb of a picture in her car, like as a picture. So that's something I'm in the works with, is to, get a postcard where the grandmas can put it on their wall because they like a photo of it. So that's a really good idea. I like that. But I'm not sure. I'm still on the fence about getting printed business cards for the Yummy Mutton one. But for the Salt Vima one, I think I'm definitely gonna do the digital one where I just scan it and we're good to go.
I think if you were to do a QR code, it would have to be printed. So like the access that I have of having a screenshot on my phone to send out to people would not work well, because it would require that to load for them to have access to it, like on their side. So like say that I have I have my QR code on my phone, you try to scan it and it's not going through because it's going so slow, then and then we just are like, well, whenever you get internet, you'll probably get it type of thing, reload the page. Sometimes that page deletes, or sometimes that page just is like, it doesn't get the whole entire URL or something like that, and you don't have an opportunity to scan again. My advice is, if you are going to do the QR code route, it has to be on something printed, just so that people can then go and rescan it. For those of communication lines, which seems to be a big thing with businesses that I work with, I always recommend to have people be very, even on their printed products, of like, even on their social media as well too, like in their bio, and because there's also too a way of Instagram and Facebook of creating an instant message when people message and DM you. That's like, thank you for reaching out, but if you want a response, please email or call, like, or whatever your it's call to actions. It's like what you want those people to do. So there's an instant email or a message reply that can be automated for any type of message that goes through, or through hinted key words on Instagram and Facebook, that direct people of a message to do what you want them to do as a follow-up. And also too, you can put that on here. So, I think if anything, I've done this too on some of my business cards that I've got, that when I've had them, that I'm like, I'm not going to be at that address. That is changed that address. And I'll strike it out. And then I'll like intentionally circle my phone number and be like, and put in the words call, or, and most of the time they take that and they assume it is a work number. And so, but I think if anything, just being intentional a bit more of just like the disclaimers or any type of verbiage. That's my advice. Obviously, we have entrepreneurs who've been out there and have experienced probably the same concern as well too. So I'll pause and see if there's any other types of kind of anecdotes or nuggets of knowledge that people would share in your question, Candace.
For the QR one, this is Valerie. Because I go around to all of the fairs and part of the flea markets, and I have it for them to take pictures of it. But I actually kind of just have a big flyer, like that is the business card, and tell them to take pictures of it, because they'll lose it too. You know what I mean? And then a lot of time, it's really good to know your audience. Like, you put on there what you want them to know. If you don't want them to call you, don't put your phone number on there. Like, and if you don't want them to email you, don't put your email on there. For me, because everybody wants to call a Navajo, and I deal with caregivers, and I tell them, I'm teaching you how to use email. So I purposely don't put my phone on there sometimes, because I want them to email me and use that. And then, or I make the email bigger, and then I make the phone number like smaller for them. And this is just depending. Honestly, it depends. Like I said, I have card off res, on res, and then I also have a digital, because when you do conferences, I notice off res, they don't want business cards anymore. You just use digital. You go to LinkedIn, you start liking each other's pages, stuff like that. But on res, we're old school. So it's getting there, and it does depend on QR, because they don't know how to work it, or the data. The main thing is the data and the access. And I even say, even for Windrock, where just as res, our internet goes out if the wind's blowing too hard, and at certain spots there's still dead spots, so it's not as perfect. But definitely, I would just my suggestion would just be make a big kind of like poster size card, and then have them take pictures of that from there, because then that saves on, because cards can be expensive, and I only have those two at certain places that I know that they're actually going to use it. But if they're not, it's just kind of like figure out who your people are like that. You probably want to put like you said, your would you say the postcards? You could put your information on there for grandma, and they'll definitely not forget it. Stuff like that. You just kind of have to come up with a creative things that will help your audience. Because like with my audience, that would be something I would want to try, and if it's worth doing. If it's not, then I have to move on to something else, because it's not going to work. So. Just my 2 cents.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Valerie. Yeah, and if you guys are like, this is just a basic overview. This is something to like, obviously there's people in the room who are trying to build a business card or build multiple types of business cards for their business, for their customer segments. So, please feel free to reach out to me, reach out to our services here at Change Labs to book one-on-one coaching sessions. My next coaching call is on November 26th. I believe I still have a couple of appointments still available. And you can have my undivided attention for 45 minutes to an hour. We can go through all of this stuff, and even into 2026 or 2025. My goodness, 2025. So please feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to connect with me as well too. I'm happy to do more tutorials and stuff, even to those of you who may have bought technology to figure this stuff out, such as a dot card, such as like a link tree, all of those things. If you need that technology help to figure out how to better network, I'm happy to walk through that with you guys, and show you guys how to edit, how to kind of make a lot and use the tools to the fullest advantage that you have of purchasing those things. So please feel free. Yeah, LinkedIn business tutorial. That'd be so much fun. I love my LinkedIn page. So I love making other people like also to up their LinkedIn page as well too. That's always so much fun. Yeah, well, I'm going to pass it back off to Raquel to do some closing, and it was so great to kind of be with you guys all for this afternoon.
All right, thank you, Holly. So we did put the link for our business coaching in the chat. It's nativestartup.org/events. And then you just scroll down and pick and choose which coach that you want to connect with. Holly is typically on the 4th week of the month. So if you visit our event page and you don't see Holly's card on there, you can click any of the book an appointment with a coach link, and it'll take you to Calendly. And on the Calendly page, it doesn't let us indicate which coach is on which day. So you just kind of have to memorize, okay, Coach Vosky is on this day, Coach Christine's on this day, Marsha's on this day. The way we have our lineup is Holly is usually the 4th week of the month, but Holly does get really busy. So sometimes it does change around. So just make sure to pay attention to those dates and times. And then Holly does get booked very, very quickly. So her coaching session that she had the other day here, she booked almost a month ago. So her next one coming up in November, I'm sure will fill up really quickly. Looking at it right now, it looks like she does have 2. And so that means that she has 3 more slots available. But of course, alumni, please reach out to us directly. You have our emails, and let us know if you need any support in any facet of your business, any areas of your business. That's what we're here for. And thank you everyone for being here with us today. I hope you had a lot of fun of listening and learning about this new tool, or not new tool, but if it's new to you, about learning this tool and how you can utilize it. There's also a lot of other features that Canva offers. So if you have any questions, Holly is here. Our team here too. A lot of our team members also use Canva. So even if you have like really generic questions, I'm sure we can direct you to either the resource that you can get your answer to, or we can help you figure out the answer as well. So again, thank you for being here. We will have another session of a workshop similar to what we had today next Wednesday. Mastering Small Business Finances. So our coach Marsha here, who's our finance director for Change Labs, she handles all of our Change Labs money. She manages all of our grant money, all of our accounts. And she's going to be leading a workshop on the accounting software Wave, which is free to business owners and is also a simplified version to more advanced programs like QuickBooks. So if you're graduating from a written ledger, a written notebook, Wave application is definitely a great next step to take control of your finances and understanding how money flows in and out. We will have that session next Wednesday, starting at 11:30. That's going to be Navajo Res time. So 10:30 Hopi in Arizona time. And the link to register is on Zoom. You can find that event on our events page as well at nativestartup.org/events. And ladies, if you're in the area tomorrow, we are having a mixer in collaboration with Indigenous Community Collective and a few of our other friends who are from the area. It's going to be a really great evening of networking and empowering our Native leaders, Native women leaders and Indigenous women business owners. So please If you're in the area, come join us. If you know anyone in the area who would be interested in connecting with our business owners, connecting with some of our alumni members, some of our team members here at Chains Labs. And then there is a registration link. So you just need to register for your ticket. It's free. It'll be 6 to 9 p.m. res time, Navajo res time. But I believe we will open doors at 5:30. So you can pretty much arrive anytime between 5 and 6 when we'll get started. And then we'll have some speakers here to give some speeches. We'll have lots of snacks and drinks for our ladies that show up. And it's Res Rodeo themed. So bring your boots and your hats and we'll have a really fun evening. All right, everyone, thank you again for being here. I will hopefully see you all next week or any of our other upcoming events. Please let us know if you're interested in any specific topic, like the one that Candace had mentioned, LinkedIn for Business. We'll definitely take that into consideration. We love hosting fun tutorials like that. And then we also enjoy hosting more professional hands-on ones. So we bring in lawyers, CPAs, and other professionals that you can ask questions of directly during each of those sessions. You're able to join us live. Otherwise, if you send us questions that you want answered during the session, we can make sure to have those recorded during our live recording and then have them available on our YouTube channel. If you missed any part of today's session, this session will be edited and then uploaded to our YouTube channel very soon. So keep an eye for that. All right. And then everyone have a great day. Keep safe, keep warm, and we'll see you next time.